Go to TAPgiles.com to learn dreams, engage my services, and support the channel. So another part to kind of making a board game that might be useful is moving pawns across a map. So I've made this simple little pawn thing, and this is like a map from the Dreamverse, and I can press up and down on the D-pad to kind of add moves, and then it will just keep moving until those moves are used up. So like I can move 2 forwards and 3 back, and it will go around corners like that, and it will like rotate to face the right way, and it will hop over things. So if I press forward twice, so it would land on the purple, but because instead of landing on the purple, it just adds another move so that it goes past it like that. And let's go over to these ones. And works going backwards as well. So if I push forwards twice, it will end up to the left, bottom left corner. So up twice. And you can see it's actually adding moves behind the scenes, as you can see in the number in the top left. And yeah, it just kind of works. There's just like a little bit of setup for each tile, so that it knows like the position and direction of it. But it's fairly straightforward to get the basics working. So this pawn will have some logic in it. So let's add a chip above its head. So the basic idea is each of these will have a position and a facing direction, which this will detect when it needs to go forwards or backwards. So let's put a chip on there, and I'm going to have it kind of face the way it's moving, so then we can see at a glance what's going on with it. I'm actually going to move it kind of forwards a bit to this kind of quarter mark instead of it straight in the middle, which will help me out with some things later on. So first I want to know where it is with a tag, and we want to know where the center of this is, so let's just move that like that and press triangle to snap it to the grid. Also, we want a direction that is pointing forwards towards the next tile. So I'll get a movement sensor, and because it's surface snapped onto an object, it has these axes. So if I make Z point forwards this way, then we have these directions. So the Z direction we can get directly out of there, and that is the way this should be facing. Let's just give it a smiley face so that we can tell which way it's facing. There we go. Cool. And then we want to transmit those with a transmitter. So this tag, I'll just transmit the whole transform like that. This transform is kind of the position and rotation and things of that gizmo right there. So we're going to send that, and that will be the position. And then this will be the Z direction, and we'll call that facing. And then this will pick those up. So we'll use a receiver, and we want to be careful about where we're actually looking for this. So we know that the chip should be at the front edge of here. So if we put this onto a cube shape and then use the grid to position it properly. So because the key to this is not getting any of the areas we don't want to care about. So we don't want to accidentally get the position of this tile as well, because that will mess the whole thing up. Okay, so that will just get that chip's position and stuff. So this is looking for the position. Up and down on the D-pad cycles through the names, and then we'll have another one in the same place looking for facing. Cool. So if we get a follower, and we need to link this chip up to the group. So we tweak the chip and then apply to object onto the group, and now all the things in this chip will affect that group. So the follower will affect the group. So let's put that down here, press triangle to snap it to the grid. So if we wire the position into the target position of the follower, now it will move to that position, but it actually lost it because once we got near it, that is no longer inside that zone. So now it doesn't have a position to send to the follower, which means it sends just a 0. So then it's going towards the center of the scene. If I turn on the floor, you can see it's going to the center of the floor, which is the position 0, 0, 0. So what we want to do is like lock this in and then move. So if I have a signal manipulator, wire that in there and wire from there into the follower, and that has a freeze output setting. So we want to freeze that while we're moving. So let's use a timeline and a keyframe that just turns on freeze, and we'll put the follower in here as well, and we'll just give it like a second or so to move. Let's just up the strength damping so it just moves smoothly. Right, so this won't work, this won't happen immediately anyway, so let's just have a gap at the start. So when it will play along, and then it will freeze the position and move to it, and that's all fine. And then if we have another one here, then we can have this sort of loop. Let's have a loop. So it'll move, and then it will do the same thing and move to the next one. So what I'll do is I'll actually, instead of these tiles, I'll use this arrow tile, and it'll make it nice and easy to tell what's going on, and I'll just copy those tiles around. Make sure you turn on local space for this, so that when we rotate the sculpt for going over here, the Z pointer will still rotate as well. So it'll like scoot forwards and again, but then it doesn't find anything, so we need it to be able to find this. So we need to like extend it to the right slightly so it just about catches it. Let's just have a smaller gap. Okay, but because we're not rotating, once we get to here, we should rotate so that now that zone will fit in here and we can continue. So we need to use this facing. So the first thing I tried was just a lookout rotator, and using a similar thing up here, and wire that into the lookout rotator. Make sure that arrow is pointing the right way. And then we want to use one of these so that it freezes as well. Okay. This doesn't work properly, so we need to go in here, and I'll group these up so that the face moves with it. And then I'll just have a little hide everything else. Have a little anchor piece down here, like that, and this will have a bolt between the anchor and this group with all the visual stuff in it, and put the bolt in the center so it can rotate kind of left and right like that, and the bolt should be just invisible, non-collidable. So it can still move around and stuff, but now we want this, instead of this whole chip affecting everything, we want the follower to affect the group, and the lookout rotator to just affect this part in here. So I'll remove that wire that we had before, and use this affected objects from the follower on the group, and the look at rotator into the group onto the pawn itself. I think I'll just increase the rotation speed so it kind of gets there quicker. There we go. So that kind of works, but then when it gets there, the zones aren't actually rotating with it, if you see that, because now the group isn't rotating at all, just the thing inside it. So we need another kind of chip in here. So if we move that up, and then inside this thing that actually looks in the right direction, we'll have another chip. And this will be what has the receivers on. So just make sure these are right position again. Cool. Nice. So if we just like watch those zones, now the zone is in front again. So it's working fine. So that's that. And now we can just add more of these to go around the place. That's pointing up here. So basically, to be sure, you need to like check all these different kind of combinations of corners. And then it doesn't know what to do, so it goes to the center. But that's about all there is to it. Moving backwards is a bit more complicated. So these are the forward ones, and then we'll have some backward ones. So if you think about the different directions this could come from, we could come from straight on. We could come from either side onto this tile. So we need to move back to these places as well. So we need to be able to catch all of these three in the same Wi-Fi zone. So for that I used a cone and moved that back here, rotated it around, and kind of adjusted it until it kind of worked. So kind of made it wide like that. Cool. And to test this, you can kind of see the position that it's being sent. So if we delete some of these, is it still finding it? Yep. If it's just from the right, it's still finding it. And just from the left, it's still finding it. But it shouldn't find stuff over here or something, because it's not within that zone. So they should be ignored completely. So then we just do the same thing, this same thing, but we use these values instead. I'll move these into here. Just delete that. And then we have this keyframe, and that will also say that these will be sent. So if we have nodes that these go through, we can have that not be allowed through unless that keyframe tells it it's okay. So that keyframe will lock this and allow it signal through into the follower, and the same for the facing. And then we kind of want a copy of all of that stuff just down here. Yeah, so this is forward. And this is only affecting these ones down here, so this is backward. And normally these are off. Yep, that one will turn these on, that one will turn these on, and then we can put all these into single nodes that are coming out of here. So this is for the position. I'll give that an icon. And this is for the facing, and I tend to use this one because it's got a circle on it. And then the follower and look at rotator only cares about what these resulting ones are. There's that, and now we just like power whichever one we're trying to move towards. So let's just have some switches. That's for forward, that's for backward. And that would like power it as well. And I'll just put it onto once mode. Okay. Yeah, so you have to like leave it on to keep it in that mode sort of thing. Right, so if we go forwards, that's fine. Go backwards, and now it's like rotating to move backwards. It goes like that, and then it should rotate to face this way towards us. And it goes around the corner, like that. Subscribe to get notified when the next video is out, showing how to get the pawn to automatically move a number of spaces. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something interesting. Go to patreon.com/TAPgiles to learn something new every day.